if they don't make it to the finals, then this might be one of the biggest L's in NBA history.
Hot topics.
Embiid never had the mentality to win a championship. I don't think he ever will win a championship.
The best analysis.
But Jokic, he might be the best player in the league this season. He really might be the MVP.
This is the Full Court Report.
And we're back.
Howdy doody.
Episode number 18
Mm-hmm.
of this 2024-2025 NBA season. I feel like it always throws me off that we're, like 2 weeks away from 2025. It's crazy. But
This year flew by.
yeah, it really did. And this NBA season is flying by. But, we got a lot going on. Like we said, we talked about it last week, the NBA Cup. It's officially in its knockout stage round, which is very exciting. We got some really fun games the past couple of days.
Very entertaining.
Yeah. We got a pretty big trade rumor going around that we'll talk about. But we also witnessed some more history, and I think we should start there. Chris Paul, this past Sunday, he is moving on up on that all-time assist list. He passed Jason Kidd for second all-time. CP3, he now has 12,099 assists and counting. That being said, he's still 3,707 assists behind John Stockton. And I was looking at Chris Paul's kind of like career. I don't know if he's ever had a season where he had 1,000 assists in his, in a single season. I think his highest was like 930 or something like that. And obviously that was like, prime Chris Paul. So I don't think he's probably not catching John Stockton, just to say. But unless he plays, like 6 or 7 more seasons, but I really don't.
That would be stupid. That would just be stupid.
But regardless, still very impressive. The point god, as some refer to him as. And I figured this would be a fun question. Being this high on the assist list, obviously Chris Paul is more than just a great passer, in my opinion. But all-time point guards, I mean, where do you guys rank Chris Paul among the greats? Obviously there's plenty of names to bring up here, but I'm curious to hear what you guys think.
Well, before I rank him, I want to just kind of go over how I view his career as somebody who is not a very big fan of Chris Paul. I've never been a very big fan of CP3. Looked up his, playoff success, and according to StatMuse, Chris Paul has only ever made the Western Conference Finals twice his whole career. Once with the Rockets when they lost the Game 7 against the Warriors, and then when he won with the Suns and ended up making his only finals appearance in his whole career. So not very successful in the playoffs, and he has no MVPs. He did play in an era with some of the greatest point guards to ever play. And maybe for 2 seasons, he was regarded as the best point guard out of all of them. I don't know. I don't think he deserves the name point guard. But with all that being said,
Wow.
I have Chris Paul at the very best. I'm kind of 50-50 on a couple guys, but at the very best, I have him ranked as the 8th best point guard of all time.
8th best?
All right. Well, then, do you want to give those 7 players that you think are better?
I think it's pretty obvious that Magic and Steph and John Stockton are all better. I personally think that Isaiah Thomas, Pistons Isaiah Thomas is better. I think Russell Westbrook is better. I think Oscar
Ooh.
Robertson is better, and I think Steve Nash is better. And I don't really like Steve Nash, but he's got two MVPs. So I have all of them ranked over Chris Paul, and I'm kind of 50-50 on Jason Kidd, Kyrie, and Tony Parker.
Kyrie.
Wow.
Kyrie's got a ring.
Okay.
Okay.
Interesting.
All right.
Toby.
So eighth best. I don't know. I feel like I didn't grow up the biggest Chris Paul fan either, but I feel like you got to give him a little bit more respect. I personally put him at the fifth best of all time. And this list is a little bit biased, so it's not all, I don't know, stats related. But number one, I got Magic Johnson. Number two, I put Steph Curry. I think he's the second best point guard of all time. Number three, this might come as a shocker, but I put Isaiah Thomas. Number four, this is where my bias kicks in. I put Jason Kidd.
Hmm.
I respect that though. I
And
respect
then number
that.
five, I put Chris Paul. I think Justin's overlooking the defense a little bit
It might be.
because, I mean, back in the day, he was, for his height, for his size, he was kind of a clamper. And yeah, if he would have had a better like postseason career, like won a couple of chips or whatever, he might be in that top three conversation. But I feel comfortable putting him around five.
All right. Yeah, I think Magic, Steph, I think just the titles. I mean, I don't know. I think the accolades obviously mean a lot, when you're comparing all-time greats. That's kind of how you separate players. But I feel like Magic, it's more than just like winning, and I think he changed the game in a way. You see a lot of bigger players playing point guard nowadays. He also, I mean, just like culturally for the NBA, I think, really helped them popularize the sport at a time where they really needed it. So, I think all of that contributes to like Magic being probably the best point guard ever. Not to mention, I mean, just an incredibly skilled player at 6'9", but I feel like we don't really need to talk too much about how good Magic was. Same thing with Steph, best shooter ever, 4 titles. 2022, he finally got that finals MVP. So I feel like that was kind of something that people were kind of holding against him for a long time, right? Like, oh, he can't win a title without Kevin Durant or, Andre
Iggy.
Iguodala winning finals MVP in 2015. But
Huh.
Steph, a different type of point guard, definitely, not, like the floor general that some of these other point guards are, but still a point guard, I think, nevertheless. But yeah, I think probably better than Chris Paul. Isaiah Thomas, I agree with you guys. I think he's ahead of Chris Paul. The 2 titles that he won in the Magic, Bird, Jordan era is incredibly impressive. He's also the shortest Finals MVP in NBA history at 6'1".
Wow.
I think that was in 1990. I want to say. I forget which year it was he won Finals MVP, but yeah, I mean, Isaiah Thomas, I feel like kind of gets lost in the all-time great conversation sometimes because,
Facts.
I think a lot of people just remember like the bad boy Pistons as a whole, not so much, the individual players, but like Isaiah Thomas was different, like an incredible passer, I think. Kind of like I don't know, like a bouncy, springy athlete, but, really good scorer, underrated scorer, really good defender for his size. So, just the all around, everything you want in a point guard. And then, this is where it just gets dicey, I feel like. After those 3, I feel like you could really put anyone. You guys mentioned Russ and Oscar. I think that's totally fair, right? Like, because in terms of like an all around game, they might be like, 2 of the best all around basketball players we've ever seen, period. Like you put LeBron up there probably. But like, when you factor in scoring, passing, rebounding, defense, like I feel like those two bring the entire package to the game. But I don't know, man. It's tough. If I had to say, I think I'm going to put him at 4. I feel like
Wow.
I think Chris Paul
He's
is
better than all of them.
I think he's better than John Stockton. I'll say that.
Right.
He doesn't, like he doesn't have the assists that John Stockton has, but like let's be real, some of those assists, if you watch, like, come on, it's like it's the same play to Karl Malone like 1,000 times. Like,
Stop it. You can just stop it. It's not hard.
sure, stop it, but like I
He
don't
wasn't
know.
the same scorer either.
Yeah, I think Chris
Paul.
Paul is like really underrated. Like for a healthy part of his career, was like an incredible mid-range like pull-up shooter, like one of the most efficient in the league for a long time. And to do that at 6 feet tall, basically, is crazy. Like there's just so many times where I'm like, how does he even get the shot off? Like over some of these defenders. Yeah, I feel like that. And I think I mentioned it. I don't remember when we talked about this. Obviously, it had to have been with the Spurs, but he has this weird thing where every time he goes to a team, the team gets better. And the only time that didn't happen was like last year, was when he went to the Warriors. Or yeah, this past last year with the Warriors. But before that, I mean, he goes to the Clippers. Well, obviously he gets drafted by New Orleans. They instantly get better. He goes to the Clippers. All those years, they're instantly competitive again. Houston, like you said, Justin, they get to the Western Conference Finals. Then he goes to OKC for 1 year. And
That was impressive.
That season to me is like one of the most impressive, because I can remember everyone thinking like this is going to be one of the worst teams in the NBA. And yes, SGA was also kind of like one of his coming out party years, I guess you could say. But Chris Paul had a huge role in that team, and part of their success. And then obviously he goes to Phoenix. They make the finals after not even making playoffs for however many years with Devin Booker. And then now with San Antonio, and age is almost 40 years old, they're back to, 500 basketball. Yes, they have Wemby and, a good young team, but I don't think you can deny the impact that Chris Paul makes on every team he goes to. And yes, he might not have the rings like Steph or Magic or Isaiah Thomas, but I don't know. I mean, Russ doesn't have a ring. John Stockton doesn't have a ring. Steve Nash doesn't have a ring. Like, if we're going to talk about rings, like, I don't know.
Yeah, but Russ and Nash got MVPs.
Yes, but, Chris Paul, I feel like you mentioned, he played in an era. I feel like his game also doesn't really lend himself to being like an MVP type player. Like, he's obviously an incredible player, but I don't know. When you're Russell Westbrook and you average a triple-double, like, how do you not give him an MVP? Or like Steve Nash, I think the MVPs that he won, he was on the best team in the league.
Yeah, the Suns were winning 65 games.
And also, like, I think that offense was like revolutionary at that time, because they were playing like super fast, kind of like what we saw with like the Indiana Pacers last year, where they're like running and gunning, scoring a ton of points, and just playing a different kind of basketball that really the NBA hadn't seen before. But I don't know. I think Chris Paul could have had an MVP. He has 2 top 3 MVP finishes in his career. So I mean, he's always been in the MVP conversations. He's just never won the award itself. But I don't know.
Also, when Steve Nash won those MVPs, LeBron wasn't in the league.
Yes, he was.
Yeah, he was in the NBA. I think it was in like 2004 and 2005 or 2005 or 2006.
Steve Nash
that
definitely
was
stole
early.
him from Kobe. Definitely stole him from Kobe, but
I mean, that was early, very early in LeBron's career. So like, still, but I don't know. To me, it's like, I just feel like also you have to factor in Chris Paul's like longevity at this point. Like, he's almost played, almost 20 seasons in the NBA, and could still play next year and the year after that, if we're being 100% honest. So I don't know. I think a lot of it factors in, but I mean, I don't know. I think you could. I don't think you're wrong in saying that Russ is better, Oscar is better, John Stockton's better. But to me, I feel like I've always been a huge fan of Chris Paul. I think there's a lot of people that don't like him though because he's
He's the king of petty.
yeah, I feel like he just gets under people's skins for some reason. He's just a player that people don't like for whatever reason. But
Well, he is responsible for one of the sickest eras in NBA history, Lob City Clippers. So I'll give him his respect. He was definitely creating some highlights with those two other guys.
mhm. Yeah, and I
But
mean, the league literally had to shut down a trade to the Lakers because they knew it would have been too OP, you know. So
Mhm.
that's the
That would have
ultimate
been a good team.
respect.
That they would have went crazy, Chris Paul and Kobe. But what up, David Stern? Good decision.
No, that's actually crazy. That trade would have happened in today's league
Oh yeah,
for sure, 100%.
oh yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. It is what it is. We still, like Justin said, we still got a really fun out. You know, all those years with the Clippers. You know, still really fun team to watch. But yeah. I mean, really, it's just shout out Chris Paul. I just figured that would be a fun question to talk about a little bit. But I also wanted to just touch on passing in general. Just who are some of your favorite passers in the league, or just of all time, really? Like anyone that comes to mind, someone that's just fun, you know, with the basketball in their hands, making decisions, stuff like that.
I mean, obviously, everybody should have Magic up in there. I know Toby's gonna like this pick, but Jason Williams for sure. That
Okay. All right.
the elbow pass is crazy. And I mean, for people that I've seen with my own eyes watching them on TV, LeBron, like everybody's seen that one where he's looking and then he passes to the guy cutting the basket, like those plays, or when he's driving to the hoop and he does the overhead like laser to the corner, like I really like watching LeBron. I really he might be passer wise, he might be top five.
Yeah, I
Just like
think.
the ability to find guys or pass people open.
Yeah,
All
I
right.
think LeBron is actually fourth all time in assists.
How do you like that?
So he's a little bit behind Chris Paul, but he might catch Jason Kidd potentially top moving to top three
That's insane.
before his
Not
yeah.
even a point guard.
Yep, it's crazy.
For me, when you said Jason, Justin, I thought you were going to say Jason Kidd.
Oh no, no, white chocolate, white chocolate.
Jason Kidd unfortunately played pretty much before like I started watching basketball. I saw him when he was like 40. But just looking at his highlights with him and Kenyon Martin, that guy was like the original Lob City. Him, Vince Carter, just throwing it up. And I don't know. I want to say Jokic. I want to give him some respect too, because I think as a big man, he's probably the best passer of all time. As a basically a 7-footer, just like launching it all across the court. And Rondo, favorite guy I've watched live, just making crazy, behind the back passes and behind the head. So I think those are my, I don't know if I'm going to say top three, but I want to give respect to those three.
All right, I got some deep cuts, but like in terms of
Geez.
stars, like you said, Jokic, I think is that's I feel like that's obvious. Um, Michael Jordan, low key, is a really good passer. For those who have never really watched Michael Jordan, I think I've watched a couple of like actual full length games. You know, that was he played obviously before I was born, but I've gone back and like watched some of his games. That's the one thing that stands out to me whenever I watched him is that he's a way better passer than I think people talk about. I think a lot of people from that era are going to be like, "Oh, well, he's just dominant. He can score over anyone. He'll jump over you, dunk on you, all this stuff." But like, he's a very unselfish player, or was a very unselfish player, and a really, really good passer. So
I mean, he played point guard for a couple of those final runs, right? Earlier in his career.
Yeah, I think when they won their first title in 1991, I think he played primarily point guard against the Lakers. He was like guarding Magic and then running point guard. And I think he had like 11 assists in his first finals game or something like that. And I'm like, I don't understand why people don't bring this up more. But anyway, kind of getting off topic. So Andre Miller, I had to bring this up, former Nugget. I mean, he played on a bunch of teams, but I can vividly remember watching him with the Nuggets for a number of years, and that guy was different with the basketball. One of my favorite. Just like he basically brought nothing else other than passing, but one of the best passers I've ever seen. Like he really was. I mean, I don't know. He could score. I'm not saying he was just like a scrub, but like basically he was out there to just facilitate. And had a lot of fun highlights. So if you want to watch some fun passing highlights, go watch Andre Miller. He also played a really long time in the league with a lot of different teams. Manu Ginobili.
Ooh.
Okay.
I feel like that's kind of not someone you really think of when it comes to passing, but I feel like he has a lot of fun passing highlights with the Spurs. I feel like those Spurs teams were known for just like good ball movement, but like as an individual player, I think Manu Ginobili was like an incredible passer. And had a lot of fun passing highlights. So again, go watch some. And then in today's league, in the league now, and this is gonna, I don't know what this. Marcus Smart. I think Marcus Smart
Wow.
is one of the best passers in the league right now, and I don't know. Like there's so many times where I feel like, we talk about like Jokic or Luka or Trae Young or someone like, great passers. And I'm not saying he's up there with those guys, but I feel like he has so many fun highlights with the Celtics. Like I can remember a lot of flashy passes. And now with the Grizzlies, I feel like he's still doing that same thing. But I feel like Marcus Smart kind of, I don't know, a deep cut.
No, I like that. I like that.
He's a really good highlight reel when it comes to passing, I think. So shout out Marcus Smart. He's more than just a defender. I had to say
Facts.
that.
Nah, but Jory, I remember way back in the day, like 2014, 15, using Andre Miller in 2K. I specifically remember this guy having a 43 ball rating of 40, and I was like, there's no way this guy was ever good.
Yeah, I mean, he really didn't contribute like much scoring wise, but I'm telling you, dude, he knew how to pass the ball. Like he knew how to get guys open. He could do it all, really. Like so, let me look. He is 12th all time in assists. So I mean, yeah, I don't know. I mean, I feel like that's he's higher than Rondo. So like, that's it's pretty
That was a good
impressive.
pick too, Toby. Rondo.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I mean, we can't forget about Rondo. He's like one of the most gifted passers, period, I think. But yeah, man, there's so many. There's so many. We could go on for days, but I wanted to bring up those three guys. Those three guys came to mind for me. But yeah. Shout out Chris Paul. Shout out all these great passers that we've seen. Talk so much about scoring. Let's talk about, getting some assists, setting up your teammates, stuff like that. But yeah. So like I mentioned, we did get a pretty big trade rumor this week. And this is according to Shams. And there's kind of a little bit of a controversy going around with this report, but regardless, I think it's true. Jimmy Butler in the Miami Heat might be on the verge of a breakup here, because according to Shams, the Miami Heat are open to trading Jimmy Butler, and it was reported that Butler is open to playing for the Mavericks, Rockets, and the Warriors. And I think yesterday, on Wednesday, it was also reported that he was interested in joining the Phoenix Suns. And then his agent got on Twitter and was like, You don't know what you're talking about. I don't know where you got this information, et cetera, et cetera.
Complete fabrication.
Yeah. So, I feel like that could just be an agent being an agent, you know, whatever. But I don't know. I feel like this is really interesting. We don't I feel like it's not always important to talk about trade rumors because there's just so many like every day like oh, is so and so going to get traded or this team is interested in that player, but I feel like when it comes to someone like Jimmy Butler that could really, swing the tide, I guess, in for some team, whoever decides to try and pursue him. But in your guys' opinion, who do you think is the best team for him to go to, or what do you think the best landing spot is for Jimmy Butler?
What are you thinking there, Christopher? Because
In
you
my
have
opinion,
something interesting to say.
in my opinion, I think that the Mavericks would be a super interesting team for him to go to. Um, I don't know. I feel like they have plenty of shooting to get the job done. So he's going to go in there. I feel like they have a lot of trade depth. Like they have a lot of young guys they can trade. And I feel like he would make a really big impact on that team. Uh, if he went to the Suns, though, that would be kind of crazy.
That would be the
They-
craziest starting lineup the league's ever seen.
Maybe, maybe.
The
But
Warriors with KD? You don't think that's
nah,
better?
I mean, like starting lineup on paper, maybe them, but like, dude, Devin Booker, Beal, Butler, and KD would be nuts.
Yes, yeah, I guess it's worth mentioning. So Jimmy Butler is in like the final year of his contract, and he has a player option next season that he, obviously can pick up or decline. So he could be a free agent this summer if he chooses, but it's like $52 million. So that's a lot of money for him to just turn down. But like if he wants to leave Miami and go to one of these contenders, he's free to do that.
I mean, he was also linked to the Golden State Warriors. I feel like that trade wouldn't make as much sense since they already have Wiggins. They already won a championship with Wiggins. They got the cum bucket, Jonathan. So I feel like they're pretty good.
Not
Like
expected that one, bro.
I feel like they're pretty good as far as that position goes. And then I don't see him going to the Suns. I mean, that's cool in theory, but I don't know if they have enough trade stock. So, in my opinion, I like him on the Mavs, and I think that makes the Mavs probably the top contender.
All right. I
Yeah,
like it.
I agree. Out of those teams that Jory mentioned, the Mavs, Rockets, Warriors, and the Suns, I feel like his best chance to win would be with Dallas, but I would prefer that he landed in Houston. I feel like one, he's got to keep the red jersey trend going. He's been with the Bulls, the Heat,
Oh,
and what was the other team?
He's on the Wolves, but they're not red.
I guess the
Sixers.
Sixers. Yeah, I guess the Sixers. I was
Yeah,
thinking,
they got a little red in there, I guess.
but yeah. Anyway, um, I would like to see him in Houston. I feel like what Ime Udoka's got going on with, as young of a roster as they have, if they had Jimmy Butler with some, veteran presence, playoff experience, all that, I feel like he could really have them lock in and, contend. But out of, aside from those teams, just other ideas, other teams that I feel like could really use him and could possibly win if they had them. The Bucks, first of all, the Milwaukee Bucks with Jimmy Butler would be, I feel like they would probably be the best team in the league. I feel like they definitely have the assets to do it. They might be a little thin, on the bench if they do make a trade for that. So, maybe a little Suns situation going on, got a great starting lineup, but you don't have anybody off the bench. Um, Going back to the T-Wolves would be nuts. Going back to the Timberwolves would be pretty fire. I'm not gonna lie, they could probably get it done. Um, I don't think Denver has the assets to do a trade right now, but again, if they had Jimmy Butler, probably a contender. And the last team, the Grizzlies. The Grizzlies really have a ton of young guys that they could just get rid of. Like, you can't develop everybody. Like, you're not going to turn all these guys into stars. So while they have any value, while they're this young, ship them up out of here. Get yourself a winner and get in win now mode.
I like the Grizzlies. That's actually a really interesting fit. You know, if you obviously have Ja and Jaren kind of as like the foundation there, but I feel like that's kind of what they've been lacking is like a wing, a two-way wing, and I feel like he would fit in perfectly there.
If
So
they
that's
could
very
keep Desmond Bain, especially, man.
yeah.
Yeah, it'd be kind of scary.
Yeah. It's tough. I feel like I don't know. I feel like at this point of his career, Jimmy, I don't know. I mean, I don't really know what any individual team would like ask him to do if they would ask him to kind of be like their number one option. But I feel like the Warriors are really interesting. I feel like he just, in terms of his age, I think he obviously fits in with, Steph and Draymond, but I feel like the team at least this season is very they're not really focused on any single player, kind of leading their team. Obviously, I think Steph is still their best player and their superstar, but they get contributions from everyone. They get contributions from Kuminga. They get Buddy Hield, going, Andrew Wiggins. So it's really like any given night. I feel like any guy can step up, and I feel like a team like that would be beneficial for Jimmy because, he's obviously a great player, but he hasn't been very available, I think, the past couple of seasons. He's kind of dealt with, some ticky-tack injuries, I guess. That's kind of kept him out of the lineup throughout the regular season. But I don't know. I think he would be a really good fit in Golden State, surround him with a lot of shooting. He would obviously be a really good defensive player for them next to Draymond. I mean, that would be ridiculous to watch those two on that end of the floor. But I don't know. To me, I feel like Jimmy Butler could really go anywhere, and I think would make an impact. I mean, he's just has always, regardless of where he's gone, like you said, Minnesota, and then that 1 year in Philadelphia. But, obviously all these years in Miami, he's been a very good player. Helped them get to 2 NBA finals. So I don't know. It's tough to really pick any one team, but I feel like all the teams you guys brought up are really good options.
Grizzlies, I didn't see that one coming.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't want to, hype up the Grizzlies. I didn't want to have to give them any respect, but they really, if if they got a trade done for Jimmy Butler and somehow kept Desmond Bain, like there's so many players on that team that contribute that, if they had to get rid of Santi Aldama or their rookie, this guy Jalen Wells, like they still have these other guys who can still come on the floor and, do their thing. Like it's not like they're going to be like if the Bucks made a trade or if the Suns somehow make a trade, they're going to have no depth at all. Like there's just not going to be anybody who's a viable option to, come off the bench.
Yeah. And that's why I'm curious to know, like, is a team going to trade for him, midway through this season and then potentially lose him in the offseason because he could just opt out of his contract. So I don't know. It's obviously this is why it's hard to talk about rumors because there's obviously nothing set in stone. He might just finish the season in Miami. Who knows? Maybe he just, stays with the Heat after this year. But it's just whenever Shams reports something on a superstar like this, you got to talk about it. So
I don't know. I kind of have a feeling that a deal might get done. I feel like the biggest reason why a deal wouldn't get done is because Pat Riley's being stingy.
yeah, maybe. I don't know. I mean, it's
I like the
tough to
Rockets.
trade someone like that. Yeah.
I like the Rockets though. I feel like he would be able to carry that team pretty deep to the playoffs. him and Van Vliet being like the OGs, and then all the youngins.
He's I'm pretty sure he's from Houston, or he's at least born in Texas. So, but I'm pretty sure he's from Houston. So it would kind of be like a homecoming for him. So that would definitely be a really good fit. And I feel like you're right. I mean, defensively, I think the Rockets are a really really good team, but I think they're kind of missing that like go to scorer. Um, and I mean, I don't know. I mean, at this stage of Jimmy's career, I don't know how much he's really offering in that department. I think he still has, some value in that sense. But I think going to a team like Houston with a lot of young players, you bring in this guy with like championship experience. I think that would definitely be beneficial. I think his personality also, I think, would mesh well with someone like Ime Udoka, because I feel like they're both like kind of like gritty, we're gonna grind out these wins type of guy. So I feel like he would fit in with that team right now. So I think Houston definitely would be a good fit. I don't
I
know.
agree with that.
Yeah, it's crazy going, but I don't know. It could be beneficial for everyone. Jimmy finding a new home, and then Miami kind of moving on and kind of building around, Bam and like Tyler Hero and whoever they decide to draft moving forward.
I don't know. It might be time for a rebuild over there in Miami if they trade Jimmy.
Maybe. But I feel like they're the type of team that's gonna figure it out, because they always just figure it out.
Yeah.
They're gonna
Yeah.
find some like undrafted guy who's just turned into like a 20-point per game scorer or something. Because that's just what the Heat do.
Heat culture.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah. So, this is definitely a story we'll probably be monitoring for the remainder of the season, and who knows, maybe a deal gets done before the deadline, and definitely will change the kind of trajectory of this whole season if something happens. But until then, it's just rumors. But
Ooh, I cannot wait until the trade deadline episode.
it's gonna be interesting. But speaking of the Rockets, they actually picked up a pretty big win yesterday in the NBA Cup, and they are moving on to Las Vegas along with the Milwaukee Bucks, the Atlanta Hawks, and the OKC Thunder. We got some images. I mean, I got mine. I got Steve Kerr at the end of the game. Justin has his with Trae Young. Trae Young was shooting dice on the Knicks logo. Just disrespectful, man. It's crazy. So these NBA Cup games have been very good, actually. I feel like the league is definitely, getting their money's worth, I guess, from these games. And but yeah, so the NBA Cup, the semifinals, the matchups are set, and all these games moving forward are going to be played at a neutral court in Las Vegas. And this is where the teams are. Well, all these players are going to get paid. So if you lose in this, all these teams that lose in the semifinals, they make about $100K. If you lose in the championship game, you get about $205,000. And if you win the NBA Cup, you get about $515,000. So a lot of incentive, obviously, to win these games. But yeah. So like we mentioned, the Hawks, they took down the Knicks in MSG, and what are you gonna do? And then
a classic Knicks third quarter meltdown. Cannot tell you how many times I've seen that happen, bro.
It's Trae Young, man. The Hawks. I told you. I think I said last, like it's they're a better team than we're giving them credit.
I watched that game and I really, really want to make an excuse and say that the refs really sold us, but the Hawks were really clamping. I got to give it to them. Like, they were really playing some great defense, especially on Jalen Brunson, which happened in the playoffs a lot. This guy, Jalen Brunson, when he starts getting picked on by these bigger defenders, when they start putting the wings on him, I don't know what he's doing out there. The guy had like 8 points up until he went scoreless from like 5 minutes in the second to like 5 minutes in the fourth. Didn't score a single point.
Yeah, I don't know. It's tough. It's these NBA Cup games, man. It's like the playoffs. All these coaching staffs are scheming up all these defensive, schemes, and what are you gonna do? But so the Hawks are moving on. The Bucks, they beat the Orlando Magic. That game was also very good. No Paolo, no Franz for Orlando, and they still, were down to the wire. So I don't know. I don't know if that bodes well for Milwaukee, but they still won. The Bucks still won. And then in the West, the Thunder, I feel like they kind of handled the Mavericks. I think that was the biggest like margin of victory for all these NBA Cup games. And then the Rockets, I don't know if you guys watched that game, but it came down to the wire, and there was a loose ball foul that was called on, I think it was Kuminga, as him and Jalen Green were like battling for a jump ball, and Jalen Green got free throws. As you can see, Steve Kerr was not happy. It was a pretty interesting call, to say the least. But the Rockets, they took down the Warriors, and they're going to be moving on. But I figured we make our predictions now for these games. So the Bucks and Hawks, what do you guys think?
Hawks are winning the whole thing.
Okay. Well,
I'm so mad, bro. I'm so mad.
Yeah, it was a frustrating game to watch. I'm not even a Knicks fan, but I think the Bucks are going to beat the Hawks. I feel like they're on a roll right now.
Really though, for real though, I hope the Bucks win, but I think that they'll win. And then in the West, Thunder. You don't even have to think about it. And win it all, Thunder.
okay.
You don't have to think about it in the West.
Nope. Thunder are winning the West, and I think they'll beat the Bucks.
Interesting.
I have to think about it because I don't think it's going to be easy in the West. I think I'm going to take the Thunder as well, but I think it's going to be similar to the Golden State game. It's going to be low scoring, scrappy. So it's going to be a tough win. Two super young teams that want to like prove themselves, I feel like. And then I got the Bucks over the Hawks. I feel like Dame and Giannis are starting to figure it out. Giannis is looking like the best player in the world right now. And I think they want that in-season tournament. So kind of shut up all the criticism that they heard in the beginning of the year.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think if I'm not wrong, I think in that same run to the. Actually, no, I am wrong. I was going to say that the Hawks beat the Bucks in that run to the conference finals in 2021, but I think they lost. That was the year the Bucks won the championship. So yeah. There's a little bit of history between these two teams, I think. But I think I'm gonna take the Bucks. I feel like you said, Toby, Giannis is playing at a ridiculous level right now. And the Hawks, they definitely have a really, really good team, like a really scrappy team, a really they're led by Trae Young, but Dyson Daniels is probably going to be in contention for Defensive Player of the Year right now. Jalen Johnson is like a legit. I think he could be like a legit star in the NBA moving forward. And then you got DeAndre Hunter, you got Reese Shea, who's playing well. So they got a lot of good pieces, but I feel like the Bucks, I don't know, I just feel like I'm going to go with the more veteran team. I think Dame is still, playing at an elite level, at least offensively, for Milwaukee. I think Chris Middleton is, slowly but surely starting to find his footing coming back from injury. But yeah, I think I'm going to go the Bucks, but it's going to be a close one, I think. And then out west, oh gosh, this Rockets team is very, very scrappy, like you said, but I don't know. I just can't pick. I can't pick against OKC. I feel like this team is just too good right now. I feel like the Rockets are very scrappy. The Thunder are the same way, but they also have an MVP candidate. So it's just I feel like that kind of puts them over the top. So I think I agree with you, Toby. I think Bucks Thunder are going to be moving on. And then between those two teams for a championship, that's hard to say, man. That's really
I'm
tough.
going with the Bucks. I'm going with the Bucks.
Yeah, I mean,
Giannis looks like he's in playoff mode right now.
yeah,
The way that guy's playing.
yeah. I think I'm also gonna take the Bucks. I don't know why. The Thunder, obviously, are playing at an elite level right now. I think they have the best defense in the league, if I'm not wrong. But I still feel like the Bucks. I don't know why I'm just on the Bucks right now, but I just feel like like I said, they're just playing really well. They're coming together at the right time. Well, at least for the NBA Cup, obviously, they still want to try and compete for a championship, but I think I'm gonna take the Bucks to win this NBA Cup. But yeah. Yeah, so it's gonna be fun. Again, like I said, all these games are gonna be in Vegas. All these games, these players, they're gonna be getting some money. So these games are gonna be fun. Definitely gonna be fun. So tune in. But yeah. I think that's all we had on our rundown here. So Justin, I think you said you had some for us. Another game.
Yes, sir. So, not really a game. It's going to be, you guys are going to be guessing a top 10 list. A top 10 list. So,
Guessing a top 10.
This is from ranker.com. Vote on everything on this website. We are going to be going over what they believe is the top 10 NBA centers of all time. And
all time, okay.
I want you guys to work together to get it in order. You can start from 10 to 10 and go up, or you can start from 1 and go down.
I think we should go from 1 down. I feel like that's easier.
Yeah, me too.
But, all right.
So are we collaborating or are we going like one by one?
No, you guys are collaborating. You guys are going to try and guess the list exactly how ranker.com has it. Now, I got to say, for the most part, I agree with the list. But
all right. I'm writing my list down.
You know what? I'm going to switch it. I'm not going to switch it. But I will tell you this. 2 of the guys towards the bottom of the list are generally not known as centers. So I don't know why they have them on this list, but they do. The 8 and 9 spots on this list are generally considered to be power forwards, but they're on the list nonetheless.
Okay. I kind of feel like I have an idea of who they are then, but we'll see. I think number 1, can I just say?
Yeah.
Say it.
Kareem.
Yes, sir.
All right.
That's what I put.
Ding, ding, ding.
If it was anyone else, I would have been kind of surprised. But yeah, I feel like it was Kareem. After that, I don't know.
After that, it's anybody's game. So you said this is all voted?
According to ranker.com, and yes, people vote on how they feel about this list. And you can vote on each individual spot. So if
I mean, I'm asking who put together the list? Just some guy? Or is it like...
I think the way it works is just like a bunch of, like anyone can vote. Like you and I could vote.
Like we could go on, we can go on and
just like
say whether or not this guy should be higher or lower on the list.
So it's just
okay.
A community thing, like a community vote.
In that case, I think there's going to be a little bit of recency bias.
No, I'm not saying that. I don't know. I think.
All right, well, who's number 2? Who do you think is number 2? Let's keep it.
It's got to be someone that's retired.
It's
everybody on the list other than one guy is retired.
So I was thinking,
okay,
it's between Shaq, Wilt, or Bill Russell.
Bill Russell. Well, just because Justin's reaction.
Well, it is one of those guys, but how are we forgetting about somebody else?
Hakeem.
There you go. But he's not the answer. That's not the answer.
I think Hakeem is not second. But
Shaq, Wilt, Bill Russell. I think it's Bill Russell. That's my pick. I think the titles.
Yeah, I think so too.
I think it's
so,
Bill
too.
Russell.
It's
It's
not.
Shaq. It's Shaq, isn't
Oh,
There you go.
it's
Killing
Shaq.
you.
Shaq
Yep.
is second.
And then Bill Russell's third.
Nope.
What? So Wilt is third.
Will is third.
Nope.
Hakeem.
Yes, sir. There you go.
Wow.
Yeah, there's no way we're gonna get this in order. I mean, we already lost.
It's fine. No, you guys are gonna just work together. It doesn't matter how long you take or how many
So you said it's
guesses.
Kareem, Shaq, Hakeem so far.
Yep.
And then it's got to be Bill Russell.
The other-
Bro.
The other guy.
Wilt.
Yeah. And then your boy, Bill
And
Russell.
then Bill Russell's number
You'll never get
5?
number 6. You'll never get number 6. Never.
Really?
You'll never get it.
Never
And
get
I'm
it.
astonished. I'm astonished that he's on here.
All
Even
right.
on the list at all.
David Robinson.
No, but he is on the list. I'll give you that.
Because now I'm just guessing players that.
Pat Ewing.
No.
Moses Malone.
No.
Damn.
I'm
Well,
just
now-
gonna tell you. I'm just gonna tell you because you'll never get it, and you're gonna love this, Jorie. Nikola Jokic is the 6th best center of all time, according to
Wow.
Ranker.com.
What?
I don't know why I wasn't thinking like current players.
Yeah, he did say one player wasn't retired.
Number 6.
Yeah,
though?
that's kind of crazy. I don't know if even me, I don't know if I'm putting him at 6 right now, but all right. I mean, hey,
Shout out Jokic.
I guess 7.
7 might be David Robinson.
Yes, sir.
All right.
It's like-
Right.
Now
And
the
you
8
said
and
8 and
9.
9 you said
Yeah.
were power forwards. Is it Tim Duncan?
He's not number 8.
He's number 9.
He is number 9.
Is it
Okay.
Somebody said his name. Somebody said number 8.
Moses Malone.
Yes, sir.
All right. Okay.
And then number 10, somebody else also said him.
Bob Pettit.
No. Greatest player to ever play for the New York
Oh,
Knicks.
Pat Ewing.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
That's the top 10 right there, according to Ranker.com. So whoever's voting on these things,
we were off.
So
I
who's-
agree. I agree with most of the list. I don't know how Nikola Jokic snuck into that 6th spot, but
Yeah, that is
Uh,
kind of surprising.
I don't
He's-
agree on Moses Malone and Tim Duncan being centers. But Wes Unseld was 11. Willis Reed was 12. Bill Walton was 13. Dikembe Mutombo was 14.
Mm-hmm.
And Artis Gilmore is 15.
Wow. No Dwight. No Dwight Howard.
Dwight's not even in the. Okay, he's number 26.
That.
Yeah, but
I
like
don't know
they have
about that.
they have Dirk above him. They have Bob Lanier, Kevin Garnett. Like these guys were not playing center.
Yeah, I don't know. That's tough. Well, yeah, I don't know. That's fun.
Yeah, I like that.
Do they have a
Yeah.
point guards one?
Oh yeah, I'm sure they do. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know.
All right, here we go. From hoopshype.com on August 20th, 2024.
All right.
Let's check her out. Dang, somebody we forgot to talk about.
Top 10. We're doing top 10 again.
Yeah. All right, now this one is definitely some old head definitely made this list, but we'll see if you guys can guess it. All right, get her going. You already said Magic Johnson, number 1. Bingo.
Bingo, bango, bongo. Steph Curry, number
Yes,
2.
sir.
All right, good.
Uh,
Number 3.
number 3. I'm conflicted.
I really want to say Isaiah Thomas.
It's
No,
not
sir.
Isaiah Thomas, really.
The Big O.
Yes, sir.
All right. Oscar.
Number four is a guy that none of us had mentioned earlier, talking about Chris Paul and all the other point guards. Somebody
Who?
nobody mentioned. Played a very long time.
Jerry West.
Yeah.
Jerry
Oh,
West.
jeez. Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah. Damn.
Flamed over.
Rest in peace.
Number 5 should be a little bit higher up.
Chris Paul.
Nope.
Well, Justin had him at 8, so
Oh yeah, I forgot about that.
should be higher up. Russ?
No, that is Isaiah Thomas. Okay,
Yes, sir. Isaiah Thomas. Number 6.
How much higher up?
couple spots.
Like
I mean,
one?
I thought he should have been 3rd. I think he's better than Jerry West and Big O, but
Fair enough.
Number 6, give me
our mans. We were
Chris
just
Paul.
talking about him.
Chris
Our
Paul.
man.
Point God.
Yeah. I don't know about that one. Number 7.
number 7, J Kidd.
Nope.
Come on, bro.
First name does start with a J.
John Stockton.
Yep.
Number 8.
That's ridiculous. Jason Kidd was better than John Stockton.
Number 8 is a Canadian.
Steve Nash.
Yep.
SGA. No, I'm just kidding.
Number 9 is super old man.
Super old man. What? What? I mean, that doesn't really.
Guy's a dinosaur at this point.
Scott Skiles.
What? Guy, this guy played for a team with a lot of green on.
Bob Cousy.
Yep.
Yes, sir. For anyone that's shout out Bob Cousy. I think Bill Russell had a documentary about his life and just playing with the Celtics. They highlighted Bob Cousy for like a good 10 minutes, I think, in that. He was definitely a hooper, man. Definitely shout out Bob Cousy.
And to round off the top 10, your boy, Toby.
Jason Kidd.
Yes, sir.
He's got to be inside that top 10, bro.
He is. He's number 10.
I know. I mean, he's got to be a single digit.
Number 11 is Gary Payton. Number 12 is Russ. Number 13 is Dame. Number 14 is Walt Clyde Frazier. And number 15 is Nate Archibald. No Kyrie.
No Steve Nash.
Kyrie's at Steve Nash,
Steve Nash was in there.
I think 9 or 8 or 9.
Oh, I missed it. My bad.
He was 8.
What about Mo Cheeks?
Mo Cheeks, he was actually at the top of that ranker list. He was up there at the top somewhere.
Shout out Mo Cheeks.
And
Yeah,
Luka
but-
Doncic rounds out the top 20. How do you like that one?
Okay. All right, Luca.
I think
But yeah.
Luka might finish top 10 when it's all said and done.
I mean, if Jokic is 6 already, probably, yeah. Fun episode. Rankers, Chris Paul, NBA Cup, Jimmy Butler. So yeah, good stuff.
By next episode, we should know the cup winner, right?
Um,
We play our cards right.
forget when the championship game is.
This
yeah.
next round is Saturday. I know that.
I think we'll know. We'll probably know. So yeah. So yeah, good luck to all these teams.
Except the Hawks.
Except yeah.
Except the
I guess.
Hawks.
And yeah, shout out Chris Paul. The Nets, I guess. And yeah. All right. Until then, we'll be seeing you.